Fragrances that can turn her on. Yeah, it's a thing.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Lieb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Fragrances, can they turn her on? They absolutely can. Fragrances are more than just that. It's all about hygiene. That's really what it comes down to. Before we get into the supplemental fragrances, which is exactly that, they're a supplement. You want to make sure that you smell good. So take a shower. Make sure you're cleanly cut, get a haircut, you're nicely groomed, look good, you feel good, and then after that, we can talk about some additions to your whole vibe. After you've got a couple of these points in check, you want to then consider a supplemental fragrance, which can definitely elevate your game and really take you to the next level. So fragrances, they're underrated in my opinion. It can absolutely change the track of your day. 10 fragrances that'll turn her on. I've got about 100 fragrances on my table. Make sure you smell good before you spray these on, and let's talk about 10 of them. I'm gonna pick them at random, no reason. I'm gonna play a scenario. I'm going on a date with a fine chica, and I need a fragrance that's gonna probably seal the deal. Level of confidence you should have is, I don't need a fragrance to seal the deal, but it'll definitely help. So let's go ahead and get started. The first fragrance I personally would pick, although this is kind of weak sauce, I'll spray this on about 10 times, and it's YSL La Nuit de l'Homme. La Nuit de l'Homme is cardamom, it's sexy, it's the squint eye vibes, man. Oriental cardamom, very sexy fragrance. It's a no-brainer. There are a couple of cheaper alternatives that perform more, but to be honest, even with this one, it's really not that bad. About 5 to 6 hours, and if you get a jumbo size like this, you're not gonna have to worry about performance. Spray it on, and from there, you've got about 5 hours. So La Nuit de l'Homme 2023, would I still recommend it? Yeah, personally, I would recommend it. There are a couple of other inspired buys that are cheaper and last better, like Jack of Clubs, but this is more towards the Blue Electrique. So it does have a little bit more of a shower gel vibe, which is gonna take it just slightly further from being a turn-on factor, but it's still nevertheless a great fragrance, including the YSL La Nuit de l'Homme. I would still personally recommend this fragrance. Just know that whatever you're buying, you're gonna have to put it on at least double what you would normally with any other fragrance, but still a great fragrance. Another one that's sitting on my table, she's knocking on my door, and she's about to walk in. I've only got boxers on with a t-shirt. Am I gonna put pants on, or am I gonna put fragrance on first? I'm gonna put the fragrance on. If she walks in while I'm doing that and I'm still in my boxers, then that's even better. Tom Ford's Noir Extreme is what I would be putting on, because I'm gonna smell like a Middle Eastern freaking ice cream. Super syrupy vanilla and some kulfi. Kulfi is of Indian descent, so this is actually more of an Indian ice cream, but it's so sexy. Syrupy, sexy, sweet, seductive, long-lasting. You don't want to spray this more than like 5 to 6 times because it is pretty strong, considering the fact that it's a date. You don't want to overpower her. You're going to be in close encounters. At least that's the goal. Tom Ford's Noir Extreme is going to get exactly that. So if she walked in and I was spraying this and I'm still in my boxers, I wouldn't have any doubt that it's going to seal the deal. So I'd stay in my box. They'd probably come off. Another one that's sitting here on my table, and it's a part of one of the cheapies, and this is in the cheapie realm at 10 out of 10. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Legion by Fragrance World, and it's a fantastic interpretation of Parfums de Marley's Ouajan or Oujan. This is cinnamon earth balm, but sweet at the same time. You really have to be careful with this one. I wouldn't recommend spraying it more than 4 to 5 times, and I'm team overspray all day. This one, however, is extremely loud and projecting, and you want to be careful whenever you're rocking this bad boy. But like I said, it smells like apple pie cinnamon frosting. Super sexy, seductive. It's definitely not for warm weather for sure, but nevertheless, this is another one that I would personally spray on myself. And since I'm looking at some of the cheapies, this is another one that stood out. And as far as a rating goes, I don't want to really get fixated on the ratings, because this list is not about my personal rating. It's about the reactions and responses I've got. This one I would personally rate at an 8 out of 10 for personal enjoyment. But out of reactions, it's gotten me numerous of exactly that. This is Mont Blanc Legend Night. This doesn't last the longest, about 5 hours, but it takes this super sexy vanillic base and adds an extremely crisp and fruity apple top. For me personally, the top is a little bit sharp, but women love it. I don't know what it is. I think it's the crisp apple, with that vanilla that they just love about this fragrance. I mean, anytime I've rocked this, I've gotten compliments consistently with this one. So Mont Blanc Legend Night doesn't last the longest, but for a date, and especially if it's during the colder weather, this is a great one. You want to spray this on no more than 5 times, even though it doesn't last the longest. Just the scent profile of it is it's too crisp. If you spray it too much, it's going to get synthetically sharp, and you don't want to do that. But nevertheless, it's a good fragrance, at least in terms of reactions and turning her on. Another fragrance that's sitting in front of me is one of the best tobacco fragrances that should be in every man's collection. It's Parfums de Marley. This is one of the best, period. It does cost a little bit more than a couple of other of these fragrances, and it's somewhere between niche and designer, but it's a good thing. Very mass appealing, sexy, tobacco, and vanilla. This isn't one that can easily be imitated or inspired by, and for that reason, I'm going to tell you guys that this is one you should absolutely try and get the original for. Parfums de Marley Herod has not been replaced by any dupe, in my opinion, or clone, and for that reason, it is absolutely worth a buy. This is for the sophisticated gentlemen and women. This is going to be super sexy. You're in a suit, you're going out, it's nice, brisk, cold. This is it, man. Next fragrance is going to be for those of you that live in hotter climates. This has an infusion of a little bit of Middle Eastern Oriental vibes with some ambroxan. So it basically smells like this Dior Sauvage blended with Leighton with its own Middle Eastern Oriental twist. And this is Arabian Ouds, Arabian Night Silver. I'm recommending this even though it's not in the typical sweet, sexy, gourmand vibes, which usually makes you smell edible, but because of the reactions I've gotten while wearing this. I mean, it's been like, my God, you smell so sexy. What are you wearing? And etc. So this is for the women that like fresher fragrances. If you're going on an outdoor date, it's not necessarily cold. You don't want to rock Dior Sauvage. You don't want to rock Dylan Blue. You want to stand out, smell different, and have something that lasts a long time. This is it right here. Personally, I wouldn't purchase this for any more than like 150 bucks, and I'll do my best to link a couple of links down in the description. But Arabian Night Silver smells exactly like that, a Frankenstein between Parfums de Marley Leighton, Dior Sauvage with some Oriental twist to it. So a freshie that has more than just fresh aspects, and it is actually very sexy fragrance right here. Next fragrance is Elegance. This is like pinky up while drinking champagne. And that's the kind of women that this one's gonna really turn on. Think Apple Brandy by Killian, think Roses on Ice, think Rock Rose by Clive Christian. Take all of those fragrances, add some dirty nuances and aphrodisiac, dirty in every sexy way, and you're gonna end up with this fragrance right here, Beaming Buenos Aires. It's a dirty rose, crunchy sugar, and vanilla. So sexy. And when I say dirty rose, it's dirty in every sexy way. All about the rose, crunchy sugar, hibiscus, and vanilla. Such a sexy rose fragrance, and actually quickly has become one of my top rose fragrances in my collection. I personally love Delina Exclusive on a woman, or even personally, I would love to rock it. This one, however, in my opinion, makes it just a little bit better because of the fact that this one unisex the entire vibe, so ladies can even rock this one, but for me personally, it takes that rose vibe, takes the whole champagne thing, adds a dirty nuance to it, and my God, it's a rose fragrance. So gentlemen, you do have to enjoy rose fragrances, but it is a unisex rose fragrance in my opinion. Rather than the typical standard rose and patchouli, it's rose and hibiscus and a lot of vanilla. So freaking sexy. An absolute must-have in any man's collection. If you don't own this fragrance, you should absolutely get your hands on this. A 10 out of 10. I've worn this on numerous dates and has become a signature scent for me on a lot of those dates, and women as well. SpiceBomb Extreme is going to be exactly that. You're going to stain her brain and hopefully not her face when you're wearing that fragrance. So the next one is going to be another cheapie, and this is from Utur Al Alam, and it's called Alry by Fragrance World. Not only does the cap resemble what you're going to promise to only use,
perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip,
but it actually gets very close to one of my favorite flankers from Paco Rabanne, and it's 1 Million Elixir. 1 Million Elixir is my favorite one from the entire lineup, and I still own it. The DNA is ambery, it's vanillic, and it's got rose and cedar. This one, however, doesn't have the same emphasis around the rose, and it's likely due to the quality differences between the two, but in all honesty, it does it a favor. A lot of men don't like that addition of the rose, and it makes it a bit more diffusive and higher quality smelling, but because of that, this one smells denser, sweeter, and sexier in my opinion. Longevity on this one is 8 to 10 hours easily, and with the original one, it's about the same, if not just a little bit more. But really, you're getting more of a twist than you are getting with the original. But if I had to pick between the two, I would likely go with this one. Would I still wear the original? I absolutely would. I'd be lying if I said I didn't, but I have both, and they are just a little bit different. Ambery, sweet, sexy, seductive, some woods, and mostly just amber and vanilla. Last on this list is another Middle Eastern fragrance, except this one is not a cheapie. It's an actual niche fragrance, and it's from Atyab al-Sheikh, and this is called Remember Me Black. Think of Killian's Angel Share, but better. A more masculine take, and instead of using cognac, it uses rum, which adds undertones of spices. It's got an addition of ginger as well. So crisp, spicier, and longer lasting. Extremely loud in the projection, so you really want to be careful when you're rocking this one. But nevertheless, this has gotten me compliments from many women when rocking this fragrance, and I've rocked it almost everywhere. The first day I wore this fragrance, I sprayed it one time on my forearm. About 7 hours later, I knew I had to have it. Just how good it smelled and how it's very different. It's not going to be an Angel Share inspired by directly. You're going to get slight vibes of that, but it's got like this cola vibe infused with this Angel Share. Super sexy, super loud, and worth every penny. Atyab al-Sheikh, Remember Me Black is going to be the last one that I personally would recommend or go for out of the 100 that's on my table. There you have it, 10 fragrances that off of my table I would personally pick out. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and until the next one, peace.